Since 2015, Jared Stillman has rocked Nashville sports.
That team freaking stinks.
And now he's back. The takes are hotter than ever.
I mean, let's be honest, he just can't coach.
Welcome to Stillman and Company.
Stillman and Company, presented by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical on 440 Sports on the Stillman and Co. YouTube page. Get in here now. That's right. As we are rocking and rolling here on Stillman and Company on a Hot Take Friday. And I said this in the YouTube chat before I got the show started, but I said in the YouTube chat, I go, guys, I'm not going to lie. I try not to get ahead of myself, but I'm pretty excited about today's show. There are a lot of things in today's show that I want to get going, want to get started on, want to get all of those things. And so we're going to do that. I also want to thank everybody out there who missed yesterday's show or wanted to see yesterday. We didn't have a show yesterday because it was Yom Kippur, but tomorrow there will be two opportunities to get your favorite host. Tomorrow, SiriusXM Mad Dog Sports Radio, channel 82, from 7 to 11 Central Time, I will be on Mad Dog Sports Radio. And then as soon as Vanderbilt, Alabama goes final, I will be live with a special Stillman and Company. It's going to be kind of a mixture of post-game live and the Stillman and Company program, but we'll be breaking down Alabama Vandy and anything else crazy that happens. And who knows what's going to happen between Alabama and Vanderbilt. We have a lot to get to. Again, we are getting close to about 3,000 subscribers on YouTube. So tell your friends, tell everybody, like and subscribe at Stillman and Co. on YouTube. Okay. Let's get to our number one topic today on a Hot Take Friday. And this was something that I was actually kind of surprised by. And this really picked up Wednesday afternoon after our show and really all day yesterday, which was the reverberation of the Cam Ward "we ask" comments after Sunday's game. And boy, those comments caused quite the hubbub inside the locker room, eh? Jeffery Simmons said he talked to Cam about it. Clearly, he wasn't very happy about it. Cody Barton said he didn't like it. And the fan base has reacted, and they are furious. Not at Cam, but furious at the team for not liking the Cam Ward "we ask" comments. So I heard Ward's ass comments live when they happened, when I was hosting post-game live on Sunday. He said before, he said "we ass," he said he was ass, and I heard it, and I didn't really have any feelings one way or the other about what Cam Ward said. I wasn't angered by them because they are ass, and he is ass. His quarterback rating, his QBR, is 23.4. That's awful. That's worse than Will Levis was as a rookie with Tim Kelly calling the plays. But I wasn't motivated either or thought that it was some sort of signal, some sort of sign that Cam Ward was the messiah of the franchise who was just destined to lead them to greatness because he got up there and said, "we ass." I just kind of dismissed it. Then I heard my former colleague Derek Mason, and he took issue with those comments, and I thought, hey, I could see that pissing some of those dudes in that locker room off. We've never heard Trevor Lawrence come out and say the team is ass, and he has done a whole hell of a lot of losing over there in Jacksonville. Haven't heard Justin Herbert say it. Haven't heard C.J. Stroud say it as the Texans have struggled. So I thought long and hard about Cam Ward's comments. And here's what I really came away with. Personally, I really don't know how to feel about Cam Ward's comments. I mean, on one hand, the team does suck. I mean, let's not make any ifs, ands, or buts about it. I mean, the team is freaking atrocious. And I think we all know that. So that's on one hand, they do suck. And I do think there is some complacency, some acceptance of all of the sucking, some sort of expectation that it is unavoidable that the Titans are going to lose. It's like the players think, well, hey, We stink, but we get paid and we get laid. So, you know what? It is what it is. And there is somebody at some point who has to say, guys, the line has to be drawn here. But in the NFL, you better be really careful when you take that stuff into the public. And in the NFL, you better be aware at all times when you are the starting quarterback, because there can be serious ramifications if you rub your locker room the wrong way. And it sounds like Cam Ward did rub the locker room the wrong way and was either unaware of that or doesn't care. And I'll just say this. You cannot be, in my opinion, a franchise quarterback in the National Football League if you are unaware or do not care how your actions and words affect everybody else. That's why you'll hear the coach, you'll hear the quarterback say things like, I lost and we won. And there is nothing in my experience covering the NFL that divides a locker room faster, regardless of whether or not that's what Cam meant to do, and I don't think it is. But there is nothing that will divide a locker room faster than finger pointing. And that's probably how some of those guys felt. I use the defense as an example. Jeffery Simmons talked about this. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but Jeffery Simmons talked about the fact that they don't miss any tackles in the first 3 quarters. And then in the fourth quarter, they miss something like 35 tackles. We, the defense, we have to be better. Anybody else catch the subtle shot Simmons was taking there? Well, the first 3 quarters of the game, we can make tackles. But when we're on the field for 38 minutes out of the game, which you can't expect any NFL defense to be any good if they're on the field for 38 minutes. For the 38 minutes we're on the field, we can't make tackles in the fourth quarter because you can't expect an NFL defense to play for 38 minutes of the game. We got 4 turnovers against the Denver Broncos. What'd you guys do? Nothing. And you didn't hear that. But you heard Simmons kind of start to go there a little bit. And again, that's finger pointing. So even if Cam's comments weren't selfish, and again, I don't think they were. He said he was ass before he said we were ass. That's not what the team heard. It came off as selfish. Because, again, whether or not this is what he meant to say, and I don't think it is, it did probably feel to those players, just based on their reaction, it did kind of feel like he was essentially saying, I'm on this sorry-ass team with these sorry-ass players and this sorry-ass coach, and they suck. Woe is me. Feel bad for me because the rest of my team sucks. And I know that's how the fan base feels, but that's not how the guys in the locker room want to feel. And it's not going to go over well with those guys sitting there making them think that you said that they suck. Even if, again, that's not what he said. And here's the unfortunate reality of the NFL and that position in particular. You don't get to learn in the minor leagues how to deal with the attention of being a franchise quarterback. You get thrown into it. Trevor Lawrence's rookie year in Jacksonville, he went to the podium and he threw Urban Meyer under the bus. And I bet he did that on behalf of his teammates. Because every other year of Trevor Lawrence's career, from being a true freshman at Clemson until now, have you ever heard Trevor Lawrence say anything negative about the coach? No. But when it was falling apart with Urban Meyer, he went up to the podium and he chucked Urban under the bus. Why? Because he represented the team and he had to speak up for the team. It's not fair. That again, Cam is what, 23, 24 years old? He's up there. He says he's ass. Nobody hears that. He says we ass. Now there are t-shirts getting printed. That's not exactly fair. But this is the NFL. And the NFL is not fair. Brock Purdy is a passenger on the San Francisco 49ers machine, and he makes $53 million a year. Why? Because he's the quarterback. It's a two-way street. And some of you, again, I haven't looked at the YouTube chat, but some of you, I'm sure, will say, he's a rookie, Jared. He'll learn. And you're right. He is a rookie. And I do think that the way his teammates probably looked at it was like, hey, man, what the fuck? And he was probably like, yeah, that's not what I meant. That's not exactly what I said. And they probably said, okay, all good, Cam, let's move on. But you're not going to get a lot of chances like that. You're not going to get a second chance to say, oh, my bad, that's not really what I meant. And he cannot afford to have his teammates turn his back on him. It's like being a coach. You can fire a player, you can fire a coach. You can't fire the entire team. Cam cannot get an entirely new team in here. Not this season, not next season, not the season after that. He can't do this without his teammates. Umpires in baseball, they'll tell you, hey, man, you can argue however you want. Just don't show us up. And I kind of feel like, regardless of whether or not he was showing his teammates up, which again, I heard it live. I don't think he was showing his teammates up. That's how it felt like to them. And when you're the quarterback, how you make others feel on your team, in your locker room, in your building, with your fan base, does matter. And yet, I am torn because at the same time, this team has lived post Mike Vrabel in this let's be nice all the time to everybody about everything department. And at some point, somebody over there has to call it like it is. At some point, somebody over there has to say, okay, enough of the bullshit. Let's call it how it is. And I think there are too many people over there, and I think this is exactly what Rand Carthon did, pumping all the rainbow and sunshine, and Brian Callahan doing the same thing. Guy doesn't know the rules, but he can pump that sunshine. Chad Brinker just says a bunch of words. I don't even really know sometimes what they mean. At least somebody over there is like, hey, man, this team sucks. They do something about it. So I'm torn. Now, I lean towards, hey, Cam probably made a mistake, and he probably needs to own up for it with a, hey, my comments like, I'm the main culprit as to why I said we're ass. I am a part of the problem. I am a big part of the problem. Even if he doesn't believe it, that's something I think he needs to say for his teammates. I think he needs to tell them, hey, I am a big part of this problem with this football team. And we're going to get it right. But right now, we all have to look in the mirror, and that starts with me and my 23.4 QBR. But I do think he kind of made a mistake. And yet at the same time, I wonder how many people actually keep it real over there inside the building. Again, I'm not talking about publicly to the press, I certainly don't think the coach keeps it real over there. Jeffery Simmons spent all last year bitching about how it's not my fault I don't get sacks. Simmons decided to lean out. This year, he's getting sacks. So I do wonder if there's anybody over there that holds this team accountable. I was talking to somebody over there a couple months ago about Ryan Tannehill. And he told me, he said the difference between Mariota at quarterback and the difference between Tannehill is that if somebody didn't run the exact route the right way, Marcus would say, you'll get it next time, buddy. And Ryan Tannehill would say, hey, you ran that route 9 yards. That route needs to be run 10 yards. That is the kind of thing that costs us games. Now, you would never see Tannehill say that. Tannehill would never let anybody say it. They said after one of the games, I think it was against Jacksonville, he hit Adam Humphries in the end zone for a touchdown, got hit, got a personal foul for roughing the passer, said, and won. And I think it was Roger Saffold told the press he said that, and Tannehill's like, yeah, wish they hadn't told you guys that. But Tannehill and Henry and Byard and those guys could hold people accountable. And I don't know from the coach on down over there if there's really a real sense of accountability over there other than, man, we just need to play better. That's why I always think having Mike Mularkey, a veteran, experienced coach, was so important in terms of teaching this organization how to win. That's why I think veterans like DeMarco Murray and Ben Jones and Wesley Woodyard and Logan Ryan were so important to the Titans becoming good again, because they all led by example. And then Kevin Byard picks it up, and Derrick Henry picks it up, add in Ryan Tannehill, and now you've got a team with real leadership. This team doesn't have that. So I'm torn, again, on the we ass comments and how the locker room should react. Kaharski wrote an article just scathing the locker room, saying they need to be tougher. They're soft. They need to. And I'm like, well, Paul, you do have to remember, you've worked with a lot of people in your life, and a lot of those people don't like you. Cam's got to make the people that he works with like and respect him. But I do think this organization needs a reality check. That said, you cannot have the quarterback with a 24 QBR making everyone feel like he's pointing fingers, regardless of whether or not he actually was, which I don't think he was. The way it came off was as if he was. And if you do that, you'll lose the team. And if he loses the team, just like Anthony Richardson after the tap out, it's time to move on. And you don't want that. And they don't want that. And he doesn't want that. And I don't think the locker room wants that. But that's just something to keep an eye on. So that's the first thing. Again, that was blew up. I was shocked. I heard the comments. I just kind of dismissed them. I mean, they're not very good. Cam's part of the problem. He's not part of the solution right now. But I didn't think it was going to blow up the way it has, where, again, this is the first time I feel like there's been some pointing fingers in the Titans locker room, which I'm not used to. So that's the first thing. Let's talk about Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. They are the presenting sponsor of this program. They are very proud to do that. I'm very proud to have them. And I'm very proud to have them because I use Hiller at my home. Hiller has been in business since 1990. They are family owned and operated. And they have 100% satisfaction of happy you'll be, or the service is free. If a customer is not pleased with the work performed, they will make it right. I know this because I use Hiller at my home for pretty much everything. Learn more at happyhiller.com. And Hiller offers true transparency pricing, which means that Hiller will line item every part of the job up front so homeowners can easily understand what they're paying for and why. For example, they itemize parts and labor separately. And I'll say this, there have been times Hiller sent a project manager out to my house. We've line itemed the whole thing, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to pay for that. So they will take great care of you. I mean, I'm telling you, I love them. They're great. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, proud supporters of the Nashville Predators, the Tennessee Volunteers, and the Vanderbilt Commodores. And I know they are excited about the Vanderbilt game on Saturday. Call the Happy Fish Truck today. That's first thing. Number two, today on this Hot Take Friday, boy, Jon Robinson pissed off the Titan fans. Did you see the we ass post from Jon Robinson using his wife's birthday post to throw shade at the Titans? Again, Jon Robinson wishing a happy 46th birthday to his wife of, again, I don't know how many years, but wishing his wife a happy birthday, said, hashtag, we ass. And I guess it's still all my fault. If you know, you know. And I saw that and I laughed my rear end off. But boy, a lot of people were mad. Woo! Twitter was all up in arms. Everybody was all worked out. Everybody was losing their shit over this. And I'm going to tell you this right now. I'm on Jon Robinson's side. And I'm sure many of you out there are going to say, of course you're on Jon Robinson's side, Jared. You like Jon Robinson. But that's not why I'm on Jon Robinson's side. I'm on Jon Robinson's side in this because I believe the majority of the fan base was completely, and I say was, is. I think the majority of this fan base is totally ungrateful for what he did as the general manager of this franchise. And I think the owner was completely ungrateful for what he did as general manager. And I think a lot of you out there, for some reason, and I can't fucking figure it out, but some of you out there misunderstand what a general manager's job is and how a general manager should be judged. J-Rob made a bunch of mistakes as general manager of the Tennessee Titans. And when he was GM, I was the one to first guess and second guess a lot of it, a lot of the time. I kept saying, how does the Isaiah Wilson thing happen? You draft a guy who completely goes off the reservations, a total nutcase? Well, Jared, nobody knew this ahead of time. What? That's your job. Caleb Farley, we went around the room on the radio show. Me, Caroline, Ian said, okay, here's the report from me and Rappaport about his back. In or out? Out, out, out. They drafted him. It was like buying a meme coin. And the A.J. Brown trade was rooted in the Patriot way, a philosophy that I have come to realize doesn't work unless you have Tom Brady at quarterback. All bad. Trust me. But I think and I say I get it, but a lot of this fan base and the owner, I think we struggle with what a general manager's job is when it comes to being in the NFL. A general manager's job is not who drafts the best. In a roundabout way it is, because you have to have a good team, and in order to have a good team, you have to draft well. But a general manager's job is winning and losing football games. Period. That's how you determine whether or not somebody is a good general manager. And objectively speaking, Jon Robinson won games as the general manager of the Tennessee Titans. Again, objectively, not subjectively, well, I felt like, no, objectively. He won 61% as GM of the Tennessee Titans. That is the same winning percentage that Bill Walsh had with the 49ers. Jon Robinson, objectively speaking, took over the worst team in the NFL. They had the number 1 pick when he took the job and had them at 9-7 in that first year. Jon Robinson made the playoffs in 4 out of 6 seasons as the general manager. Objectively, he was fired with the team in first place and a winning record. These are all facts. He won games, which is the job of a general manager. And because of that, I thought it was absurd to fire him. Again, was he perfect? No. But nobody in the NFL is perfect. But Jared, the team was headed in the wrong direction. Maybe. But there's no way to know how it would have gone if he had remained the general manager, because he didn't remain the general manager. Because the owner decided to fly off the handle, and instead of giving the guy who built the team an opportunity to fix some of those mistakes, she hauled off and fired him in the middle of the season. And I know things weren't going well. But again, Jon Robinson wouldn't be the first general manager to fix mistakes that he had made. Howie Roseman, the general manager of the Eagles, he's pretty good, right? You know, he missed on Andre Dillard in 2019. And then he missed on Jalen Reagor in 2020. Back-to-back drafts. Should they have fired him? In fact, in 2020, after Dillard, bust, after Reagor, bust, the Eagles were 4-11-1. And Carson Wentz, whom Howie Roseman had traded up for, whom Howie Roseman had signed to an extension, was clearly a bust. Should they have fired Howie right then and there? That's 2 first-round draft picks he wasted, plus the 2 first-rounders he used on Carson Wentz. I mean, they had Jalen Hurts in there. He was a second rounder. They didn't even know if he was their guy. Should they have fired Howie Roseman right then and there? Now, you know what would have happened if they had fired Howie Roseman, right? Yeah, I don't think the Eagles would have been to 2 Super Bowls and won the last one. What about Kyle Shanahan? We like him, right? He's good. Kyle Shanahan lit 3 first-round draft picks on fire to move up and take the guy he didn't even want to take. He moved up to number 3 to take Trey Lance. When in reality, everybody says he moved up to 3 to get Mac Jones. Who knows? Should they fire him? I mean, what about the other first-round picks Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch have made? Javon Kinlaw, Reuben Foster, Solomon Thomas. I mean, they suck, don't they? Fire them. They've only won 54% of their games. Again, with J-Rob, 61% was not good enough. But 54% and lighting 3 first-round picks on fire to move up and go get Trey Lance, I mean, you should be excommunicated from football. You shouldn't even be allowed to watch a football game. If, again, what we're doing is judging general managers on who drafts the best in the first round. But Jared, he traded for A.J. Brown. Kyle Shanahan traded away DeForest Buckner. Took the draft pick and drafted Javon Kinlaw. Fire him. So if you think J-Rob sucks, that's your subjective opinion. And you're entitled to your subjective opinion. But it is wrong. He was a winning general manager. That is objective. He never had a losing season while he was the general manager. Objective. He made the playoffs 4 times. Objective. He went to an AFC title game. He won the division twice. He traded a 4th-round pick for Ryan Tannehill. You are 9-34 since you fired Jon Robinson. That's 21%. Again, that's an objective fact. The 2 years before Robinson showed up, you were 5-27. Again, objective. You were awful. You've been awful. The only period of time that you haven't been awful is when Jon Robinson was the general manager of the football team and you won 61% of your games. But you people, and not all of you people, but a lot of you people, are just so ungrateful. All you do is whine and complain about how shitty this football team is now. But when the football team won games, you weren't happy then. And this owner, with this wretched franchise that has been so bad for so long, going all the way back to Houston, going back to Bill Peterson as the head coach of the Oilers, this owner thinking she deserved better when they kept winning. Just so ungrateful. And then there's Vrabel, who had never worked a day in personnel in his life, thinking he could do better. Ungrateful. And that's what bothers me. Was J-Rob perfect? No, he was not. No general manager is perfect. Bill Polian has a gold jacket and says, the best of us in this profession get it right 55% of the time. And yet, you people just get so mad over a Jon Robinson Instagram post. J-Rob, fuck you. You're the reason we suck because 5 years ago you drafted Isaiah Wilson and we have never, ever rebounded from one missed draft pick ever. Again, in that same draft, the Eagles took Jalen Reagor. How come they're allowed to fix that mistake? In the same draft, the Chiefs took Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Should they fire Brent Veach? Andy Reid, he sucks. Again, the job of the general manager is to win. And when Jon Robinson was the general manager, you won. That's why, in spite of some of the stuff they did, which again were mistakes, I thought it was ridiculous to fire them when they did because they were winning. And I thought the job of the general manager of a football team was to win football games. This is not college where the athletic director is overseeing 23 sports. And so even if the football team sucks, you can say, well, hey, he's got his hand in basketball and women's basketball and baseball and all the other sports. No, there's one sport, football. There's winning, there's losing. He won 61% of the time. Again, if you bought a team today and you were going to hire a general manager What would you care about when it came to that general manager's success? Would you say, I hired a successful general manager if he hits on every first round pick, but we don't win any games? Or would you say, hey, I hire a general manager because I want to win? And if I bought a new team, and it couldn't be this team because I think it's too toxic for Jon Robinson to come back and be general manager of the Titans, but if I bought a team, J-Rob would be on the list. That is, if my objective was to win. And for me, it would be, because that's what he did. So, again, he trolls the Titans fans with that post. He knew what he was doing. I know it. He's Jon Robinson. He knows that when he said we asked, people were going to say, but the amount of people on social media like, fuck him. It's like, dude, look at your current operation. Whoa. Those guys, they win 21% of their games. And I'll tell you what I don't understand. I do not understand how Mike Vrabel, and I don't think the Titans fan base does this as much as the rest of the country, but after Robinson got fired, Vrabel went 0-5 and 6-11. And Vrabel bears zero blame for any of that, and I think it's ridiculous, the narrative that's out there. So that's the second thing. You ungrateful people, led by the owner, who is just so ungrateful. Anybody else watch Mac Jones last night? Who saw Michael McCorkle Jones go 33 of 49 for 342 and 2 touchdowns on Thursday Night Football with 0, and I mean 0 turnovers on the road and beat the Rams? I did. Who saw it with an offense that was as banged up as he was, and he found a way to finish the game last night? I did. And who remembers how I told you people last year, give Mac Jones a second chance? He might be one of the guys who fits the reclamation project mold. I do. Take a look at the graphic on your screen if you're looking at the stream. This is a tweet that I sent out when I was still on the radio hosting my radio show on February 12th of this year. So again, that's pre-combine, that's pre-free agency, pre-draft. And I said, my current top Titans quarterback choices. Number 1, Sam Darnold. Number 2, Daniel Jones. Number 3, Mac Jones. Number 4, Aaron Rodgers. Number 5, Cam Ward with the first pick. And the money's included in the graphic. Darnold 4 years, 164. Daniel Jones 1 year, 10. Mac Jones 1 year, 6. Aaron Rodgers 2 years at 50. You know, the whole Aaron thing was all screwed up anyways. But I'd say take another look at that list for a second. Because as of right now, Sam Darnold, the number 1 choice, is 3-1. And according to Pro Football Focus, he is the 3rd graded passer in the NFL right now. Daniel Jones, number 2, he's 3-1. PFF has him as the 8th highest graded passer. Mac Jones, number 3, he's 3-0 as a starting quarterback this year, awaiting his PFF grade. Aaron Rodgers is 3-1, and Cam Ward is 0-3 and ass. So I have to ask this question of the Jared haters out there. And boy, there are a lot of them. Do I get a little credit for nailing the quarterback board this offseason? And I already know the answer from the Jared haters. The answer is no. No, I do not get any credit for the fact that, hey, Sam Darnold, Jared said go get him. He's pretty good. Daniel Jones, Jared said go get him. He's pretty good. Mac Jones, Jared said go get him. He's pretty good. And I said, I wouldn't draft Cam Ward. Jared, you're a hater. Now look at your team. Go watch Mac Jones. Because all of the responses from the Jared haters are the same. Well, Mac Jones wouldn't do that here. Well, if Mac Jones can go to San Francisco with essentially an offensive backups in Christian McCaffrey, if he can go to San Francisco and play well, and you say, well, he couldn't come here and play well, then Mac Jones isn't the problem. Sam Darnold isn't the problem. You are the problem. Well, Jared, they have better rosters. Well, you want to know how to build a better roster? Trade the first overall pick to a team desperate for a quarterback and take those picks and build your team. That's how you get a better roster. Add Abdul Carter to this team. Add Jalen Higgins to this team. Add Luther Burden to this team. Add Nick Emanwari to this team, or Donovan Ezaraku to this team. And then next year, with the Giants pick or your pick, add Ruben Bain to this football team. Now all of a sudden you went from no pass rushers with Jeffery Simmons doing everything himself to Abdul Carter, Jeffery Simmons, and Ruben Bain. I think you'll be able to get after the quarterback. That's how you build a better team. But there's also something that this generation of football fans that grew up playing Madden, they don't seem to understand, which is unless you're Patrick Mahomes, the chosen one, in the perfect organization, with the perfect coach, with the perfect mentor quarterback, there's a lot of shit that young quarterbacks have to go through while they learn to play the position in the NFL. And what drives me crazy about this league and the fan bases and the media that covers it is that we seem to never give credit to these guys who go through the tough times learning how to play in this league, usually on teams that aren't very good. Sam Darnold has been through it. Baker Mayfield has been through it. Geno Smith has been through it. Daniel Jones has been through it. Ryan Tannehill, when he showed up here at 31 years old, had been through it. They got drafted by a bad team, lousy management, bad coach. They get their rear ends kicked. Their confidence dissolves. Their fan base runs them out of town. And then, after having the experience of what it takes to survive in the NFL, they take a little time away from the constant beatdown and prove to everybody, no, I actually was good. I always had talent. You just needed to bake it in the oven and give it some time to cool down. And so here are the Titans. Bad organization with a bad coach, and you draft the quarterback #1 overall, and he stinks right now. And this year, everybody in the media, everybody in the fan base is giving him a pass because he's a rookie. But next year, there will be a new coach. And next year, he won't be a rookie. And that coach didn't draft him. And then everybody will get frustrated and they'll blame the quarterback, and the narrative comes out that that guy sucks. Just like the narrative was that Mac Jones was no good, and nobody seemed to say, you know what the real issue here is? Bill Belichick has absolutely lost his marbles to the point that he maybe probably shouldn't even drive a car anymore. He probably shouldn't be allowed to change his will at this point in his life, let alone run a football team with a young quarterback trying to manage his career. Because Mac Jones was good as a rookie quarterback. And then Belichick decided he wanted to reinvent the wheel and saddled him with Matt Patricia as his offensive coordinator. Who would have survived that? Who's supposed to survive that? Joe Burrow is the exception to the rule. Guy goes to a terrible organization, bad owner, bad coach, bad team, gets beat up, and takes them to the Super Bowl. That is the exception to the rule. And that's why this entire offseason, I wanted one of those guys, particularly Darnold, over Cam Ward. I wanted the picks that Cam would bring, plus I wanted somebody who's an already seasoned 28-year-old with 5,000 NFL snaps over a raw rookie to a team with no support and no extra draft picks. And so today I was thinking about this after watching Mac Jones do his thing last night. And I was thinking about quarterbacks and prospects in the NFL, and kind of one of the arguments that I feel like we went over a lot when it came to the season and it came to the draft. And, Jared, he's Mahomes. Jared, he's a superstar. Jared, Jaden Daniels. Jared, CJ Stroud. I'm like, whoa. I'm like, Cam Ward may be the best prospect in this draft class, but Cam Ward is not the best prospect in a lot of draft classes. I don't even think he's close to the top in a lot of these draft classes. And it kind of hit me when it comes to these draft quarterbacks, why I seem to be able to pick out the reclamations. Again, look at the board. Sam Darnold, Daniel Jones, Mac Jones. They're a combined 9-2. That is not an accident. And the reason why is because I looked at guys that had had success in the NFL in spurts, but have had some really, really inconceivably bad coaching or management around them. Now, when you go with Sam Darnold, or you go with Daniel Jones, or you go with Mac Jones, you're not going to end up with Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes. Because the reclamation project that turns into a Hall of Famer, Drew Brees, Steve Young, that is a once-a-generation type guy. But I thought about it and how teams they say, well, we need just take the quarterback. And then, he's a bust. And now Baker Mayfield's winning a bunch of games in Tampa Bay. And so just because I would have traded the pick to Cam doesn't mean that I would have traded every quarterback pick. Again, if Cam Ward was Andrew Luck as a prospect, I would have drafted Andrew Luck. But Cam wasn't. And so I put the quarterbacks into 5 separate tiers of prospects. And I took Cam out of this because, number one, I'm not totally sure where I would put Cam. There were 3 quarterbacks I had a hard time putting in this. Daniel Jones, J.J. McCarthy, and Cam. But I took the first-round quarterbacks, starting with the Mahomes year. And I said, okay, where do they fit in these tiers of quarterbacks? So let's start with the first tier, which is the generational talent tier. You take that player. You got the number 1 pick that year. You take that player no matter what. It is not a question. Teams can call you and offer you 5 number 1s, and it doesn't matter. You're taking the quarterback. This is the Elway category. This is the Andrew Luck. Since the 2017 draft, there are 2 quarterbacks that coming out were tier 1 generational prospects. Again, the word is prospect. It is not what have they become in the NFL, because those 2 were Trevor Lawrence and Caleb Williams. Those were everybody knew all year, that's going to be the number 1 pick. They had the college success. They had the prototypical size, elite traits, talent, etc. That is a generational prospect who, again, is supposed to not miss. But look at how Jacksonville has worked with Trevor and Caleb in Chicago. It's been a mess because those are bad organizations. But again, if I had the number 1 pick and Trevor Lawrence was on the board, you could have called me, offered me 5 number 1s, and I wouldn't have done it. You do not pass on a generational quarterback prospect. Cam Ward was not that. Then there's tier number 2, the elite quarterback prospect that you pretty much have to take no matter what, and it would take some sort of unbelievable haul to move off of those caliber prospects. And for me, since the 17 draft, there are 3 guys that would fit that category: Joe Burrow, Jaden Daniels, and Drake May. And I know Drake May went number 3 in his draft, but if this were this year, Drake May would have gone number 1. So I know, Drake May's not lighting up. This is not about what they have become in the NFL. This is what they were as prospects. Joe Burrow was an elite prospect. He was an accurate quarterback. He had the size. He had the success in college. He was a slam dunk number one. We don't need to do any research. Turn the card in quarterback. And it would take at least 3 number one picks to get me to even consider moving off of that quarterback. And I would probably already have to have a quarterback in order to do that. Like, I'd have to be the Cowboys, have Dak Prescott stink, get the number one pick, and if Jaden Daniels is there, you're going to have to trade me 3 number ones or more in order to get me to move off. So that's 3 since the 2017 draft. Then that takes us to the third tier. The good quarterback prospects that if you need a quarterback, you can take them with the number one pick. They're solid, but they need time to develop. They need a good team around them, and they need a good coach. They can play in the NFL right now, but you're not going to win with them right away, which is usually the case with a lot of rookie quarterbacks, and they don't have the super elite traits that, say, a Joe Burrow or a Jaden Daniels has. And for me, that is a much deeper group. Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Josh Rosen, Tua Tagovailoa, Justin Herbert, CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, Mac Jones, Michael Penix. Again, this is not what they became in the league. This is what they were when they entered the draft. I know Josh Rosen was a total bust, but Josh Rosen coming out checked a lot of the boxes. Again, he didn't check the box as a legit number one talent, but he was definitely a top pick in the draft. And that's what a majority of these quarterbacks are. And some guys pop and become Justin Herbert or CJ Stroud. But if you got a bad team around these guys, Sam Darnold's going to get killed. Mac Jones in New England with Belichick, it was bad. But they can go somewhere else and have success because Mac Jones was good in college. And again, good in college doesn't necessarily mean good in the NFL, but he was good in college. He was good when he got to the league, and then the Patriots kind of screwed it up. That's the third tier. The fourth tier is the most dangerous tier. But I also think outside of generational talent, it is the most rewarding tier. And that is the project quarterback. That is a quarterback that can get you a gold jacket or get you fired. Boom or bust. And when you draft these guys at the top of the draft, you better have a specific plan in order to turn these guys into Steve McNair, or else you will get fired. And in today's NFL, it may not be worth it to take the project quarterback because you may get fired before you get to see this thing through. That said, that tier has Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson in it. 3 of the league's 4 best quarterbacks. Other projects in the group: Kyler Murray, Dwayne Haskins, Jordan Love, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, and Anthony Richardson. So for every Lamar Jackson, there's a Trey Lance. For every Josh Allen, there's an Anthony Richardson. And again, do you think Jordan Love became a franchise quarterback because he was born a franchise quarterback? Or do you think having 3 years on the bench behind Aaron Rodgers with Matt LaFleur as the head coach with a program in place helped him become a franchise quarterback? He was a project. Remember the game he played in Kansas City on the road, his second year in the league, when Aaron got COVID and had to sit out and everything else? He was a project. And then the final tier with the young quarterbacks are what I call the overdrafted tier of first round picks. These are teams that quarterbacks that teams took. They took the player out of desperation because they felt like they had to draft a quarterback, and they overdrafted the quarterback. Mitch Trubisky, Deshaun Watson. And again, I liked Deshaun Watson in college, and Deshaun Watson was a good pick for the Texans. He got a second contract. He was a Pro Bowl quarterback, but nobody thought he was worthy of the 10th pick or the 11th pick when he got drafted. A lot of people viewed him more as a late first, early second type guy. Watson was an overdrafted quarterback. Mitch Trubisky, Deshaun Watson. I put Daniel Jones in this because when Daniel Jones went 6th, the Giants also had the 17th pick, and everybody was sitting there saying, 6th? 6? So I put him there. Kenny Pickett, Bo Nix, Jackson Dart, and J.J. McCarthy. Again, I had a hard time putting J.J. I'm like, is J.J. a project because J.J. McCarthy didn't throw a lot in college? Or is J.J. an overdrafted quarterback? And I'm going to go with overdrafted because I just haven't seen the talent out of J.J. McCarthy either in college or even a little bit in the pros. So that leads me to this question. As far as the quarterback tiers are concerned, where does Cam Ward fit? Cam Ward, certainly not a generational talent, certainly not an elite quarterback prospect. Burrow, Daniels, May, certainly not that. I don't think I can put him in the good category because, again, he wasn't as good of a prospect coming out as Baker or Darnold or Rosen or Herbert or Tua or CJ or Bryce or even Mac Jones. There is an argument that he was a better prospect than Michael Penix. I definitely could put him in project quarterbacks because Cam does have that backyard football in him that you cannot coach. That, again, he's made those cross-body throws across the field, 30 yards down, hits the guy perfectly. I mean, it's beautiful. But Cam doesn't really have the elite traits that a project quarterback generally has. What Anthony Richardson has, what Justin Fields has, or Kyler Murray or Lamar Jackson in terms of athleticism. So I have a hard time figuring where he goes. Does he go into the overdrafted category? I thought Cam was a first-round talent. Thought in a traditional draft he goes probably number 10, number 12. In which he would go to a better team or a more established coach or have lower expectations on him. But I'm going to say Cam, I'm going to put him in the project category just because that backyard football is special and can't be coached. But again, that's why I would have gone with the reclamation project. The Buffalo Bills, the year before they drafted Josh Allen, made the playoffs. Patrick Mahomes went to a team that was ready-made to develop a young quarterback. You had a head coach on the hot seat, and you took a project quarterback with a bad roster that had earned you the number one pick? And that's why I would have gone the reclamation project route. Because when you do that, you are getting a talented player. Sam Darnold was a talented player. Daniel Jones, again, I thought was overdrafted at 6. He's got talent. Plus, you're getting the picks from the Giants. Even if you're probably not getting a Hall of Famer by going the reclamation route. And there is no way you could have watched Thursday Night Football last night with Mac Jones and not thought, holy crap, this guy looks like he knows how to play in the NFL. And right now, what are you getting out of your quarterback? Ass. Finally, I want to hit the Vanderbilt-Alabama game. That's the big one. Again, we will be live tomorrow with a special Stillman & Company as soon as Alabama-Vanderbilt goes final. And I got to tell you, I'm excited about the game on Saturday, and here's why. Because it feels to me like this is the moment that we're all going to find out together collectively whether or not Vanderbilt has arrived. We're going to all figure it out as a group. If Vanderbilt shows up and wins on Saturday, then there is no arguing that in the NIL era, Vanderbilt is legit. And if they win on Saturday, they will then be a legitimate threat to make it to the college football playoff. LSU and Texas, 2 blue bloods on their schedule, have serious offensive problems. Missouri is good, but are they great? Auburn and Kentucky should be wins, and I expect Vanderbilt to go on the road to Knoxville and lose at Tennessee. Vanderbilt can lose 2 games and comfortably make it to the playoff. So let's dock them for Tennessee, which again, I'm pretty sure they're going to lose. That means they can lose 1 more. 3 losses, and they've got a shot to get into the playoff. But they still have some work to do. But until they beat Bama tomorrow, Vanderbilt making the playoff has really been a pipe dream more than a real world possibility. Plus, again, other schools like LSU and Texas are skating by on name recognition more than actual play. And when push comes to shove and it's Vanderbilt versus a Texas and they're trying to make a decision, Vanderbilt's going to lose that battle every time. If Vanderbilt can beat Alabama, Vanderbilt can beat LSU and Texas because Alabama is better than LSU and Texas. So when it comes to the playoff in Vanderbilt, right now, it's just a what if. Like when I was a kid and I grew up a Vanderbilt fan and I used to talk to my dad, Dad, if Vanderbilt ever gets to the Final Four, are we going to go? Again, it was a pipe dream. This is the is Vanderbilt for real moment. And I mean for real. Is Vanderbilt really one of the top teams in the country? Is Vanderbilt really a threat to make it to the playoff? Is Vanderbilt really a threat to maybe win the SEC? And I think we can all agree when it comes to Vandy that they're not the same old Vandy that they've always been. But again, the Vegas line at 10.5 or 11.5 means that Vegas doesn't consider Vandy as a threat to win the SEC. I looked it up on the FanDuel Sportsbook this morning. Vanderbilt has the 10th best odds of winning the SEC at plus 2,700, which actually happened to be the same odds UT had. I was a little surprised by that. Last year, Vanderbilt beat Alabama. We all know that. But it was kind of seen as a one-off, like an NCAA tournament upset when Cinderella beats a number 2 seed. In this case, Vanderbilt isn't a 15 seed anymore, but they're also not a 3 or a 2 or a 1. I think most people are looking at tomorrow afternoon's game like a 9 seed taking on a 1 seed in the second round of the basketball tournament. We see upsets like that from time to time. It happens. It's not crazy for an 8 or a 9 to upset a 1, but it doesn't happen all the time. And if Vanderbilt wins, I think it would prove that Vanderbilt football, which to their credit, Clark Lee, Candace Lee, the chancellor, everybody has made the investment. And it would mean that Vanderbilt is a legit force in the SEC in 2025. Now, the third thing on this game, I had a little intel before the South Carolina game. And I was told that, hey, Vanderbilt looked at South Carolina on tape and they thought, this team, they're ranked 11th in the country, but they ain't that good. The idea when they saw it on tape, and Clark Lee was seen talking to the team about this in a video that they posted, in which Clark was like, if we play our game, we're going to crush them. And they did. The intel that I have on this game from my sources is that Alabama is considered, Vanderbilt looks at Alabama and they think that is a good team. But they also don't think that this is the Bama of old. Translation, they're solid. They're a good SEC team. They're not Nick Saban's Alabama. And if Vanderbilt is going to win, they're going to have to win with yards after the catch. They're going to have to limit Bama from having big plays with guys like Ryan Williams after the catch. And they're going to have to hold tough defensively in the red zone. And as is the case with every big game, whether it's NFL, college, Vanderbilt, whomever, they can't turn it over. And they can't have the special teams mistakes that they had against Utah State on Saturday in that one series with the 2 punts and everything else. Now, I'll say this. I do not consider myself a Vanderbilt fan anymore. I consider myself a Louisville fan. But I am rooting for Vandy tomorrow. And I am rooting for Vanderbilt because I feel like Vanderbilt has earned my support. Diego Pavia has earned my support. Clark Lee made sacrifices for the program, has earned my support. Vanderbilt has invested in the football facility. It is so much nicer now than it used to be with the construction. They've earned my support. Plus, everybody likes to see Cinderella in the NCAA tournament. And Vanderbilt going to Alabama and winning, wouldn't that feel like a Cinderella in the SEC if Vanderbilt had a shot to win it or Vanderbilt had a shot to make the playoff? So I'm rooting for Vandy. I do wonder how UT fans are feeling about this. You know, I've been meaning to text Chad Withrow, and I've been meaning to ask him, Like, I've been meaning to say, hey, when it comes to Vanderbilt, Alabama, who are you rooting for? Because if Vanderbilt wins, that means Vanderbilt's a real threat. And you know Tennessee has enjoyed for years laughing at Vanderbilt, saying, oh, yeah, little brother, they're no good. They're not on our level. They're not. And I get it. Do whatever you want. So if you're a UT fan, do you want Vandy to win? Because if Vandy wins, now Vandy is a real threat. But you also get to laugh at Alabama and the demise of the Crimson Tide. And I think if Alabama loses, Kalen DeBoer is done at Alabama. Not right away, but he will eventually be done. So I can't wait for that. And again, special Stillman and Company after the game is over right here, YouTube. Again, like and subscribe. We're trying to get to 3,000 subscribers. Hopefully by Tuesday. If we can get to 3,000 subscribers by Tuesday, I'll be a very, very happy guy. Okay. It's time for six-pack picks. We are 14-10 on the season in six-pack picks. We were 4-2 last week, and it would have been 5-1 if I had stuck to my Bama-Georgia score. I picked Georgia to win by a field goal. Georgia was favored by 3.5. So if I had taken Bama plus 3.5, I obviously would have won that. But I changed it during six-pack picks and said, I'll take Georgia, even though I've got on the board by 3. I'll take them by 4 just so I can take the points with Georgia. So I lost that. And I lost the Vikings versus the Steelers. I got Oregon, Penn State. I got the Ravens and the Chiefs. I got the Cowboys in Green Bay. I took Jerry. And, of course, that game ended up in a tie. And, obviously, I got the Titans and the Texans because I picked against the Titans. So, this week, again, we are 14-10 on the season. I'm going to give you a free pick that does not count. I'm going to say Virginia plus 6.5 at Louisville tomorrow. I love my Cardinals, but I don't think we're beating anybody with a pulse by 6.5 this year. Take Virginia plus 6.5 tomorrow. I think that game's at 2:30. Okay, let's get to our six-pack picks. Okay, game number 1, the biggin, Vanderbilt versus Alabama, 2:30 tomorrow on ABC. Alabama is favored by 10.5, 11.5. The number has been moving. We, for this, are using 11.5. And technically, I'm picking Vanderbilt plus the 11.5 because I'm taking Alabama 31-21. I do think that Vanderbilt's offense is good enough to score points with Pavia, and Alabama is not the Alabama of old. They don't have the Nick Saban defense, and they're not as disciplined as a Nick Saban team. But I still just have a hard time until I see it. Again, I'm rooting for it, but until I see it, I just cannot envision Alabama losing at home to Vanderbilt. Especially after Vanderbilt beat them last year, there should be added motivation for Alabama. I'll take the Crimson Tide. I'll go Alabama 31-21, but that would mean Vanderbilt plus 11.5. I am taking the Commodores to cover. ABC, the night game. A little disappointed it's not Vanderbilt, Alabama, but Miami is a 4.5-point favorite on the road at Florida State. A little ACC action. I will take Miami to win, but again, not to cover. I'll take Florida State plus 4.5. I'll go Miami 24, FSU 20. I think the game will be close because it's at FSU, and I don't think Miami's going to blow out a good team on the road. Plus, Florida State's going to play pissed because they looked so crappy last Friday night against Virginia. I saw what FSU did at home against Alabama. I can't dismiss that. I think Miami, they've got more buzz than they are a legitimate college football championship contender. I'll take Florida State plus 4.5, but I'll take Miami to win the game in a close one. Again, Miami 24, Florida State 20. To the NFL we go. And it's really not a great slate of NFL games. A little surprised by that. Noon on CBS. Houston is a 2.5-point favorite against the Baltimore Ravens. The game is in Baltimore. Cooper Rush starting at quarterback for the Ravens. I'm taking the Ravens. The Texans are a 2.5-point favorite. I am taking Baltimore to win, and I don't think it'll be particularly close. I'll go Baltimore 28-10. And here's why I'll take Baltimore. Because Houston, even though they beat the Titans by 26 points, Houston felt discombobulated. I mean, they just did not feel right on Sunday. There's something wrong with the Texans. Everybody is rushing to put money on Houston because Lamar Jackson's out, but Derrick Henry isn't, and we know what Derrick Henry has done to the Texans, and I just have to believe that the Ravens are not going away. So give me Baltimore. I'll go 28-10, and I'll take the Ravens plus 2.5. CBS for Seattle and Tampa Bay, the discarded quarterbacks who are becoming franchise guys, Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold. Seattle is a 3.5-point favorite. That game, 3:05 CBS. I am taking Seattle, and I will take them to cover at 31-27. It'll be a close game. It'll be a high-scoring game. But I'm taking Seattle simply because that has got to be, if not Miami to Seattle, that's got to be the furthest trip in the entire NFL. Going all the way from Tampa Bay to Seattle. And Seattle got their brains kicked in last week by Philadelphia. Tampa Bay did. Seattle, good defensively. I think they'll force some turnovers. The line for the Bucs has just been beat to shit. I'll take Seattle, and I think Seattle will win the game. Sam Darnold. Give me Seattle 31-27. They cover the 3.5. Meanwhile, Sunday Night Football. The great Mike Vrabel gets on Sunday Night Football, traveling on the road to Buffalo. I think Buffalo absolutely blows them out. Buffalo is a 7.5-point favorite. I think they want you to take New England. I think they want you to think Vrabel's going to find a way. Now, the Vrabel special, we all know that's a thing. But I think Buffalo knows the Jets stink, the Dolphins stink. They'd be sending a message to the rest of the division the way the Patriots with Brady used to do to them. And I think Buffalo playing at home is going to beat the shit out of New England. I'll take Buffalo 41-14. The great Mike Vrabel bet against it because he has been losing a lot lately. I'll take Buffalo 41-14. They'll blow them out, and I'll lay the 7.5. And finally, the game of the week, which doesn't have a game of the week feel, but I got to tell you, it's the game of the week. It's the Titans and the Cardinals. Post-game live coming up as soon as we are final with the Titans in Arizona. Arizona is a 7.5-point favorite. Holy shit. Do you realize for a team as bad as Arizona to be favored by a touchdown and a half, what that really says about you? And I think Arizona will cover. I think this will be a blowout. I think the team is falling apart. I think they're playing hard, but now you've got guys in the locker room upset about each other's comments in the media. You got the head coach who doesn't have a clue. You got a team, again, that is falling apart at the seams. I think Arizona blows them out. I'll go Arizona 28, Tennessee 9, and we will see you for post-game live. And it should be very electric, and it should be very lively. That's going to do it for us here today. Reminder, as soon as Alabama and Vanderbilt goes final, we will have a special edition of Stillman & Company post-game live, Vanderbilt, Alabama, and then, of course, after the Titans game. And be sure to check me out on Mad Dog Sports Radio. That is tomorrow morning from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. We will have Caroline Fenton join us to talk college football at some point tomorrow. We'll have Danny Wexelman from MLB Network Radio to talk the playoffs. Go Blue Jays in our family. We stand on guard for thee. That'll do it for us. Everybody have a great weekend. Stillman & Company, we'll see you tomorrow after the game, and we will see you Sunday after the game. Stillman & Company right here, 440 Sports at Stillman & Company. Get us to 3,000 subscribers. Like and subscribe. We'll see you tomorrow.